Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. This one thing that I'm going to teach you guys is very important, it's very nuanced, and it's going to be very important that you don't use it for evil. And I know I'm saying this, but I know some of you guys will feel tempted to use it. And really, when it comes to really expressing disappointment, it's an important part of relationships. So is anger, so is all these emotions, expressing them within your relationship is probably one of the most important things that you can do that can show a level of the fact that whatever you're doing is you're taking it very serious. And a lot of you guys don't express these emotions within your relationships because of the templates that you have in terms of how you receive love. Your caregivers or your parents at some point never validated you for who you are as a person. They only validated you or showed you affection when you had acts of service. So, for example, you had to behave as a really good boy. You had to get really good grades. You have to perform really well at sports. And as you do so, that's the only time you got affection or you got any sort of validation. So you've set this tone within your relationship because that's how you get validation. So this is how you've now put into your relationship. So when it comes to you then expressing anger or expressing disappointment, you put it to the wayside because you think if I express this negative emotion, then it will rob me from the chance of getting any validation or any affection, which is, again, like I said, it sets that tone within a relationship, which then also does other things on the other side where it doesn't hold the other person accountable for their actions. And again, if you are not reacting in such a manner, it means that you're lowering the standards of their investment. So essentially, by you not being able to express those emotions correctly, you actually lower your partner's investment into the relationship, which then becomes a slippery slope over a period of time. So as you continue within that relationship, this continues and you find yourself in a place where you're completely sexless and there's no real connection, and the main reason is because of this, the fact that you've not been able to express some of these emotions. And these are very important emotions, and I know they're negative, and I know some of you guys will feel tempted to use this as some sort of manipulation tactic, and I don't know if it works. If you do, it will work for some period of time, and then once she sees that it's also self-serving, all of a sudden it becomes something that she will notice very quickly and despise you for it. So it will do you no good to use this as a shortcut to get to where you want. You certainly can get to where you want, but it's not going to be useful as a manipulation tactic. So you have to do it the right way. So I've covered some reasons why you would not use disappointment and why it's important to do so, and the effects of the relationship when you don't. So, for example, as we move into in terms of when would you express levels of disappointment and what are the conditions so that would happen. So the way I think about it is like when you're trying to change a sexless relationship, you have two things that are happening, and it's something that I'm currently writing notes and wanting to make a podcast episode about, probably a series, but it's about the outcome and expectation. And I think when you start separating these two, it makes it so much easier to really start having a control on how you're going to do it. In fact, not just control, but in terms of how you measure your progress. So when you think of the outcome is that I want high frequency sex within my relationship. I want it to be more fulfilling. I want us to be happy and be amazing. But the expectation is now based on the historical data in the past 5 years, the past 10 years. This is what has happened. So therefore my expectation would be a little bit lower than where the outcome is, but we're working towards that outcome. So when it comes to those two things, you now have one thing where you have got this outcome where you want high frequency sex, but because of where you are within the relationship and the conditions within the relationship, maybe it's more feasible to have it once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. And again, it just depends on where your relationship is, on sexual comfort and so on. But my point being that your expectations would be at a certain point based on your historical data. So as you progress and as you push forward to get into the place where you want your relationship to get to that outcome, there will be times where she's not willing to come out of the comfort zone in order to match the expectations or move towards the outcome. And that is where you would feel disappointed, and you have every right to feel disappointed, especially if you're invested in these children and you are trying to build a life, and it's not something that is self-serving. It's something that is serving both of you. You want to have a good relationship. You want it to be fulfilling for both of you. Not only that, but you're trying to get to a place where your future is where you both see each other in a place where you both are, in fact, is a true measure, where you're both disappointed when you don't actually have sex. So there are times when logistically, like this weekend for us, logistically it was impossible for us to have sex because we had so much to do to prepare for the decoration. I was literally up doing stuff. There was no way we could have done it, but there was this mutual sense of, shit, I wish we had that time. And it wasn't just me pushing it, but she was pushing it just as much, and we're both disappointed as much as each other that we didn't get that moment to connect. And that's the measure now. I'm not saying that to boast or to show off, but I'm just saying as a measure, that becomes a measure to where you want to go. So when it comes to your expectations and the outcome that you want to get, it's right. It's completely appropriate for you to have those expectations. And I think a lot of wives, where you speak about expectations, you speak about the outcomes, because they don't want to leave the comfort zone of coasting where they don't have to invest sexually within the relationship. They can weaponize the fact that I don't have to do anything in that. So I don't have to do anything in terms sexually if I don't want to, it's my body, it's my choice. Yes, it is. And by all means, if the relationship has come down to the point where you value not wanting to put yourself in a place where you can figure out that sexual discomfort, and I'm not saying force it to have sex or want to have sex, but it's actually getting to that place where you can say, you know what, based off where we are within the relationship, I'm feeling disappointed because we're not working towards this expectation. In fact, if it's something that we can agree on in terms of once a week, let be that. We're going to agree at least once a week to make some connection or make something towards it. And if you're not meeting that, I'm going to be disappointed. Now, most people will get disappointed based on the fact that they're in reaction to the woman. What do I mean by that? Is that I'm waiting for her to make the moves, and therefore when she doesn't make the move, then I get disappointed. That's not how you do it. In fact, that's you being a bitch. So you don't do that, because again, that's now you sharing a scar rather than a victory. And again, what you want to do when you're sharing a disappointment, it has to be the actions that she's taking towards that expectation. Now, if those actions that she's not taking or taking to, if the actions are towards the expectation, then it's something that will energize both of you within that relationship, and will energize you because you're going towards something that is amazing for both of you, especially in terms of overcoming sexual discomfort. But if she's got no any desire to go past that sexual discomfort or work with you towards those expectations, then it becomes something that is, yes, you can be disappointed and say, you know what, based on the actions that I've seen at the moment, I'm not happy. And I know a lot of you guys, this will be extremely difficult because it's every point where you had to explain or at least put up where you wanted your needs to be met. You never knew how. You felt like you only had to be of service and then hope somebody meets your needs. And being able to express that is very important. Now, I've had some times where we've had a an argument, and then I've expressed my disappointment. And the last one I can remember, and I don't know if I've shared with you guys, but we had an argument, and my wife said something that was extremely disrespectful. We're out in public, and again, it was just because of the tempers, and she's an absolutely wonderful woman. So I'm not trying to say this to bash her at all, but it was just a reaction that she made, and I addressed it, and I said to her, "You would never speak like this to your boss. You would never speak like this. And this relationship is the most important relationship for." And I put it, and again, it wasn't. She knows it's true. Our relationship is the most important relationship in her life right now. And there's never a time I would ever speak to her the way she did. After some reflection, she came and said, "You know what? I'm sorry. I should have never spoken to you like that." Now, the flip side of the thing is that if I never expressed that disappointment, I would have said, "That's okay. This is the rules of engagement. If you get angry, you can speak to me however you want." And that would have lowered how she engages with me, that's okay. But it wasn't. So, and again, that boundary setting that weekend became one of our closest weekends that we'd had for a long time because I could set boundaries, and that set boundary setting allowed her to see me as very strong, which is a weird part about it, that while it caused further emotion by me setting a boundary, it also made her feel confident that when shit hits the fan, I am going to stand up and make my needs known. And my needs will extend to her and my children, everybody that's around me. So when it comes to standing up for her, she'll know that I'll stand up for her because I can stand up for myself. And I think that's an important point, that if I can stand up for myself, by default, she'll know that I will stand up for her. And again, that was one of the things that I think was more powerful in my communication as I was trying to communicate I was disappointed. So I really wanted to put this out there because I was speaking to a client and we talked about this for a little while, and I thought this was very important, something that I've been taught, and I think I'd written some notes somewhere, so I had to dig them up. I was at my Evernote, so it took me a while to actually find them, but I remember writing about the outcome versus expectation and how that the disappointment, but I needed to take some time to really think about it and think about how I've used it before. And I remember this certain occasion with my wife, and I thought that was going to be interesting to share alongside of this. Maybe I might speak to the client that I spoke to, and then maybe share his and how he shared his disappointment and how that was extremely powerful for his relationship. So thank you very much, guys. Hopefully you had a very good Easter. For me, I know for you, my American brothers, it's probably pretty good for you guys. I was very disappointed by Joe Biden. Very disappointed. I don't like to talk about politics, but I was very disappointed that Easter Sunday was now made into Transgender Day. Now I don't give a shit who people want to be, and whether they want to be transgender or I don't care. But I thought it was an absolute disrespect to Christians and anybody who's Christian who was celebrating, Christ's resurrection and stuff. And I thought that was really disrespectful to couple that day with that. I would have preferred, it could have been any other day, but not that one. So that I found very disappointing. I know some of you guys maybe are religious and so on. I'm standing with you guys, and that's the reason why I'm mentioning it here. And for some of you guys that are struggling with that message that I've just put out there right now at the end, it is what it is. Yeah. So I'll knock it on the head here. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Yeah, on the last bit, just to show you that that's how you expressed disappointment. So that was directed to Joe Biden. But as you can see, that my outcome was that I wanted everybody who is Christian to be able to celebrate the resurrection of Christ without any issues and this conflict of interest, because how the Christians view transgender people. So I think out of respect for those people, the expectations that the government would respect that, and they just overstepped the power and then didn't respect the fact that the Christians will be doing that. So as for my expectation, because they've not met my expectation, that's where I end up feeling disappointed, and I'm not expressing that. So hopefully that actually makes sense in terms of where things are. Thank you very much. See you soon. Take care.